I hate them.
Well, let's try to make tonight an exception.
But no, first of all, I know you're a good friend of Brian's, who's a very dear friend of mine, the
Yes.
Line Ahead.
Yes.
And, I'm coming here with my own show in November.
Bea Arthur was one of the most recognizable faces on television. Her sharp wit and commanding presence made her a household name on shows like Maude and The Golden Girls. But for someone who lived her life in the spotlight, she was surprisingly protective of her private world. While millions watched her every week on TV, very few even realized she had children. So who were Bea Arthur's kids, and whatever happened to them? Before Bea Arthur became a television icon, she was Bernice Frankel, born on May 13, 1922, in New York City. Her parents, Philip and Rebecca Frankel, were Jewish immigrants from Europe. Philip supported the family by running a clothing store, and Rebecca took care of the home. Together, they worked hard to give their 3 daughters a stable life. Bea wasn't an only child. She grew up alongside her sisters, Marion and Gertrude, in a household where money was often tight, but family bonds were strong. When Bea was a child, the family relocated from New York to Cambridge, Maryland. It was a small, conservative town, far removed from the bustling Broadway stages, where Bea would one day make her name. Life during the Depression years was far from glamorous, and Bea grew up knowing the value of work. When World War II broke out, she joined the effort by serving as a typist for the Marine Corps. She didn't stop there. She also became a truck driver and dispatcher, jobs that were considered unusual for women at the time. That discipline and grit shaped who she became. It gave her a commanding presence, one that audiences would later admire on stage and on television, but it also shaped her private world as a mother. Her son Matthew once reflected on that mix of strength and warmth, saying, "My mom could be tough, but she was also deeply caring. She didn't let a lot of people in, but when she did, you knew it mattered." Those early lessons in hard work and resilience, learned from her immigrant parents, her sisters, and the challenges of wartime, became the foundation of Bea Arthur's personality, both as an actress and as a mother. After World War II, Bea wanted something more for her life. She enrolled at the New School's dramatic workshop in New York City, studying acting under Erwin Piscator, one of the most respected teachers of the time. It didn't take long for her to stand out. With her tall frame, deep voice, and razor-sharp timing, Bea commanded attention on stage. By the 1950s, she was performing in off-Broadway productions like the Threepenny Opera, quickly earning a reputation as a bold, uncompromising actress. And in 1964, she originated the role of Yente the Matchmaker in Fiddler on the Roof. Just 2 years later, she won a Tony Award for her unforgettable performance as Vera Charles in Mame. But around this same time, her personal life was unfolding. While immersed in the New York theater world, Bea met director Gene Saks. The two shared a love of the stage and a quick wit that drew them together. They married in 1950 in Maryland, not far from where Bea had grown up. For nearly 3 decades, Bea and Gene shared their lives. During that time, they made a decision that would define Bea beyond the spotlight. They adopted 2 sons, Matthew and Daniel. Matthew later recalled how early his life in the theater began. And if you are into classic Hollywood icons, amazing stories, and newly discovered insights, then hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers, and your support will mean a lot to our channel. I was about 3 months old when my mom was touring in Fiddler on the Roof. I was in her dressing room, listening to the show through speakers. I grew up backstage. I knew every line of those plays before I could even walk. From the outside, the world saw Bea Arthur, the commanding actress with a sharp tongue and unforgettable presence. But behind the curtain, Bea was becoming something even more important: a mother. From the very start of their marriage, Bea Arthur and Gene Saks knew they wanted a family. But rather than have children biologically, the couple chose adoption, a decision that fit Bea's practical, no-nonsense outlook on life. In 1961, they adopted their first son, Matthew Sachs, who was born that same year. A few years later, in 1964, they expanded their family again with the adoption of another boy, Daniel Sachs, born in 1964. By then, Bea's career was booming on Broadway, but at home she was settling into her most important role, mother. Life in the Arthur Sachs household wasn't always glamorous, even if Hollywood stars like Rock Hudson sometimes came by for dinner. Hudson once teased Matthew while he was clearing the table, calling him a rookie at chores. Bea made sure her boys pitched in just like any other kids, no matter who was watching. At home, mornings were quiet. Bea would sit with her coffee, reading the Los Angeles Times and the New York Times. Her sons remember her as both strict and loving, a woman determined to protect their privacy while teaching them the value of discipline. The world knew Bea Arthur as a bold actress with a sharp tongue. But behind closed doors, her greatest role was raising Matthew and Daniel. As the eldest son, Matthew Sachs was born on July 14, 1961. From his earliest days, he was immersed in the theater world. He often recalled being just a baby, sitting in Bea's dressing room while she performed on stage, listening to entire plays through the speakers. In his 20s, Matthew tried his hand at acting. He appeared in a handful of productions, including smaller roles in films and television. But eventually he discovered that the spotlight wasn't truly where he belonged. Instead, he shifted toward work that combined creativity with a more private lifestyle. One of his passions became home renovation and landscaping. Matthew personally took on one of his most important projects, remodeling his mother's Brentwood estate. He updated the property, transforming it into a reflection of Bea's personality and tastes. After her passing in 2009, he also played a role in managing her estate and preserving her memory. Outside of work, Matthew built a family of his own. He married his wife, Vanessa, and together they have 2 children. Though he chooses to keep them out of the spotlight, in much the same way Bea once protected him, he has spoken about how much he wishes his mother could have met her grandchildren. In one interview, Matthew admitted with emotion, "Life is very nice. I miss my mom. I wish she was here to see my kids." Matthew has also stepped in to clarify misconceptions about his mother. For years, rumors swirled that Bea had disliked her Golden Girls co-star, Betty White. Matthew explained, "It's not the way it is. My mom had some problems with her, but she liked her." His willingness to speak openly shows both his protective nature and his desire to honor Bea's legacy truthfully. Today, Matthew lives a quieter life, away from the glare of Hollywood. He continues to balance creativity with privacy, occasionally stepping into the public eye to celebrate his mother's life, but always with respect for the boundaries she herself valued so deeply. In his 20s, Matthew tried to follow in Bea's footsteps. He pursued acting and landed roles in some well-known films. You might spot him in A Few Good Men, Falling Down, Outbreak, or The American President. He even popped up on television in shows like Murder, She Wrote. And yes, even a small part on The Golden Girls alongside his mom. But acting wasn't his true calling. Over time, Matthew stepped away from the spotlight and turned his creativity in another direction: home renovation and landscaping. One of his proudest projects was redesigning Bea's Brentwood estate, shaping it to reflect her style and personality. And after her passing in 2009, Matthew played an important role in managing her estate and preserving her legacy. Outside of work, Matthew built a family of his own. He married Vanessa, and together they have 2 children. In interviews, he's spoken with emotion about wishing his mom were still here to see her grandchildren. "Life is very nice. I miss my mom. I wish she was here to see my kids." Matthew has also defended his mother's memory. For years, rumors swirled that Bea didn't get along with Betty White. Matthew cleared that up, saying, "It's not the way it is. My mom had some problems with her, but she liked her." Today, Matthew lives quietly, balancing family, work, and the responsibility of being the keeper of Bea Arthur's legacy. Every time he speaks about her, it's with love, honesty, and deep respect. Bea Arthur's younger son, Daniel Sachs, was born on May 8, 1964, and adopted soon after by Bea and her husband Gene. Unlike his brother Matthew, who once stepped in front of the camera, Daniel built his career behind it, becoming a respected figure in television production. Professionally known as Daniel A. Sachs, he worked as a production designer, art director, set decorator, and set designer. 4 very different but vital jobs in shaping what audiences see on screen. As a production designer, Daniel was responsible for the overall look and style of a show, setting the visual tone from the ground up. He held this role on the short-lived sitcom The Pits in 2003, overseeing the design of its quirky, offbeat world. As an art director, he translated creative visions into reality, supervising the art department, budgets, and construction crews. He brought this leadership to shows like The Carmichael Show from 2015 to 2017, and earlier to the series Lenny in the early 1990s. As a set decorator, he dressed the sets with all the details that made them believable: furniture, props, and textures that gave each space life. His most notable work as a set decorator was on the sci-fi classic Babylon 5, where he contributed to more than 20 episodes between 1994 and 1996-1995, helping create its futuristic universe. He also decorated the sets for the TV musical Bye Bye Birdie in 1995. And as a set designer, Daniel drafted the technical plans used to build sets. This became the bulk of his career. With his fingerprints on some of the most popular shows in modern television, he designed sets for over 160 episodes of How I Met Your Mother, nearly 100 episodes of Dharma and Greg, and dozens more across series like The Mindy Project, Criminal Minds, 2.5 Men, Half and Half, Married to the Kellys, Women's Murder Club, The Orville, and many others. Daniel's skill earned him industry recognition. He received multiple Art Directors Guild Award nominations for excellence in production design. These included 4 separate nods for How I Met Your Mother between 2012 and 2015 for episodes like Ducky Tie, The Magician's Code, Part 1, The Lighthouse, and the fan favorite How Your Mother Met Me. In 2016, he was nominated again for his work on the sitcom Truth Be Told. In his personal life, Daniel married Thea Moore on June 10, 2000, and together they have 1 child. True to the values Bea instilled, he has kept his family out of the spotlight, preferring to let his professional contributions speak for themselves. While Matthew often became the public voice of Bea Arthur's legacy, Daniel's impact is quieter, written into the sets and backdrops of some of the most beloved television series of the past 30 years. His story reflects his mother's values: hard work, privacy, and a commitment to craft. After the end of The Golden Girls in 1992, Bea Arthur never truly left the stage. She continued to appear in television with memorable guest spots on Malcolm in the Middle and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and she toured with a one-woman show that highlighted her wit, her voice, and the powerful presence that made her unforgettable. But Bea's legacy was more than performance. She was deeply committed to causes she believed in. A lifelong animal rights advocate, she supported organizations that worked to protect and rescue animals. She was also a dedicated ally to the LGBTQ+ community. In her will, Bea left $300,000 to the Ali Forney Center, a shelter for homeless LGBTQ+ youth in New York. That gift later helped establish the Bea Arthur Residence, a safe haven for young people in need. Financially, Bea left behind an estate valued in the millions, including her beloved Brentwood home in Los Angeles. But her sons have emphasized that her true wealth wasn't in money. It was in her values. Her son Matthew once said, "I miss my mom. I wish she was here to see my kids." She would have been an amazing grandmother. Bea Arthur passed away on April 25, 2009, at the age of 86. after a private battle with cancer. She was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood Hills, among many of the industry's greatest legends. Today, her legacy lives on in two ways. On screen, through her Emmy-winning performances as Dorothy Zbornak in The Golden Girls and Maude Findlay in Maude. Off-screen, through the values she instilled in her sons, Matthew, the keeper of her public memory, and Daniel, who built a quiet but decorated career in television design. Bea once reflected on her career with her signature mix of humility and humor. "I'm not playing somebody. I am being myself, but a little louder." That honesty, that strength, and that ability to connect with millions remain the heart of her legacy. Bea Arthur left behind fame, fortune, and accolades. But more importantly, she left behind compassion, dignity, and the fierce sense of independence that defined her life. Bea Arthur was larger than life on screen, a trailblazer whose sharp wit and commanding presence changed television forever. But away from the spotlight, she was a fiercely private mother, determined to protect her sons and raise them with strength and independence. Matthew and Daniel carried those lessons with them. Matthew, the voice who occasionally steps forward to share his mother's story. Daniel, the craftsman behind the camera, shaping the look of some of television's most beloved shows. Together, their paths reflect Bea's deepest values: resilience, discipline, and integrity. Yes, Bea left behind Emmy Awards, a Tony, and a fortune worth millions, but her true legacy lives on in the family she raised, the causes she championed, and the compassion and dignity she brought to everything she did. She once said, "I'm not playing somebody. I am being myself, but a little louder." And in that honesty, Bea Arthur gave us something timeless, a voice that still resonates, and a legacy that will never fade. So, whatever happened to Bea Arthur's kids, they carried her strength into their own lives, one in public, one in private, both bound by the lessons of a mother who left behind far more than fame. And now we'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite Bea Arthur memory? Was it Dorothy's razor-sharp comebacks on The Golden Girls, or Maude's fearless social commentary? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of the stars we'll never forget.